Hello, boys, and welcome again to the VitoGate PR. This time we're in week four, also known as the only PR in town, right?
The only PR in town thus far, and the best PR.
All right, so let's dive right into it. So we got some trade reports. So we had two trades this week. One was between both of your um, PR hosts. I received Mark Andrews and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Josh received Tyler Boyd.
Yeah,
Obviously, we think each other won, but it's honestly
we
a
think
fair deal.
each other won. Oh,
Well,
like I think
no,
I
like,
won and you
yeah,
think you won. Yeah. I think right now, yeah, it's seen as a pretty fair deal.
yeah,
MVS has a good amount of upside. That's what I drafted him for, and he had to spit it right in my face and show me that upside right after I traded him. But on the other hand, Mark Andrews was looking like a nice sell high after his
yeah,
big first couple of weeks, but he'll be fine. He had a bit of a foot injury, so I wouldn't be panicking. Definitely 50-50 on this one.
yeah. I definitely knew it was a sell high, but just needed a tight end.
Exactly. It's not like you paid up big time for him or anything either, right?
Yeah, and let's go to the second trade here. So we got Sterling and Ramey. Sterling kind of snaking you a little bit. I don't even know what happened with that,
I
but
wouldn't
um,
even say, yeah, this is like a conglomerate of three
it was
trades.
just
So, of
super
course,
weird.
the initial trade of Cooper Cup subbed for Amari Cooper. And then that got revoked by me and Sterling. We both agreed on it. I approached him. I was like, nah, man, Cooper Cup's GOAT. And he's like, I'm going to hit Ramey up real quick. And then, dude, I thought it was bullshit. I didn't believe it when they posted it like 5 minutes later. But I was like, I was in class. I was laughing, man. I got nothing done that class. Like, no attention paid to that shit whatsoever.
Yeah, so Ramey ended up giving up a little bit more of a pick for the better keeper in the long run, although we have differing opinions on that.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Like if you're looking at last year, then Devonte Adams definitely the better keeper in the long run, and where he was being drafted. But so far this year, Amari Cooper has been the stud with that new Kellen Moore led,
Oh,
more of an air raid offense
beautiful, yes.
in Cowboy Land, Jerryland, versus the Lafleur cram it up your whole Lafleur offense in Green Bay that has been, as a Packers fan, not looking great through 3 weeks, but they've played some good defenses.
Yeah, so this like kind of says that it's too early to tell for our trade, and it's obviously early for the other trade, but we're split kind of
And then
fifty-fifty on each side.
there's mad Aaron Rodgers because he's not top 10 on any of the stat lists this year. So he's mad. He's mad at Coach LaFleur. Not
Yeah.
happy.
All right, let's go to our pickup of the week, kind of the hindsight pickups.
Yeah.
What was it this week?
Pickup of the week, you got your host Noah with the Philip Dorsett pick right after that little baby bitch AB cut from the Pats. Good pick. This is an offense that's going to be booming. They're going to be able to have three relevant fantasy receivers, even if he say isn't consistent week to week. He's a guy you'll be able to play on bye weeks, and he's putting more points up than Josh Gordon even thus far. So
Yeah, he had
not too
like
shabby.
90 some percent of the snaps, and they don't have a tight end there anymore, so they're going to be running a lot of three receiver sets.
Exactly.
James Devlin just went on IR, so they don't even have a fullback now. Um, so that offense is getting really narrow for the target tree.
There you go.
All right, so let's move on to our drop of the week. Someone laying a nice deuce here. Who laid the deuce? I wonder. I
Oh,
think it
who
was
did
Nick. Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping a top 35, 40 wide receiver because he wanted to hang on to three tight ends, especially one
And
that got injured on IR the next week. That's kind of
yeah,
sucky.
was it worth it for Jalen Samuels, Nick? Was it worth it? James Conner practicing Thursday and Friday. Was Jalen Samuels really gonna do much in that shitty offense?
And
Don't think so.
honestly, Curtis Samuel's got a great rapport with Kyle Allen, the new starting quarterback for the
Hmm.
Carolina Panthers. He had way more targets than DJ Moore, although it was one game, but he looks like the number one a favorite target receiver at least. Greg Olson had a lot of targets too there.
And what's his name? Kyle Allen. He's confirmed to be playing next week
Yeah,
too.
he's already
So
playing next week, so Curtis Samuel's
just keep
probably
him
in
in
my
there,
lineup.
man. Keep him in there. Cam's hot garbage. He's done. He's retired. He's done.
Yeah, well let's hit it to the PR now.
Let's do it. Let's jump into the bulk of this thing.
This
All
is
right. So number 10, we got your host of the True and Virtuous, the non-existent PR, James Brand. Maybe he'll move up a spot once he comes out with one of those.
we can't just be
Oh.
handing out spots for favors.
I'm just giving him some false hope. He knows he's here rest of season, so he needs a little encouragement. There is some bright spots on this team though. Tom Brady had a nice week, and Russell Wilson went off, so he's really chilling at the quarterback position. Marlon Mack, a guy I was lower on at the start of the year with the retirement of Andy Luck, but that they're just a good team overall. The Colts, and if they're winning games like they are, what are they, 2-1? Marlon Mack is going to be relevant all year long. Slower week from Josh Jacobs, but what could you expect against the tough D Minnesota? And he had a little bit of an illness, had some IV bags going into the game, so I don't think anybody was expecting a boom anyhow. Not a guy I'd be worried about after that slow week. But I'm sure James is happy to see Joe Mixon getting back on the board with a touchdown, 15 for
Finally.
61, and yeah, 16.5 points. So you can have a little more confidence starting Mixon next week against the Steelers. That's a decent matchup. But really tough for this team at the wide receiver position. Besides Tyler Lockett, he's emerging as a true top 10 guy. The Seahawks are passing more, but Diggs has been such a colossal disappointment this year
Hmm.
so far. What does he have for
Well, they haven't
targets?
even been throwing it that much, so that's more the reason why.
Exactly. 12 targets over 3 games, 4 targets a game. Like, I think you got to bench Diggs, and Mike Williams too, man. Upside guy. He was getting a lot of touchdowns last year, hasn't hit the end zone yet this year, and he's showing that you kind of need him to get in the end zone to have a good game because Philip is just going to throw it to Quinoa all day. He doesn't give a
All
fuck about
day.
Mike Williams. Quinoa is his guy. Next on this team, TJ Hawkinson, man. I thought he was breaking out as a rookie tight end. Like, I was kicking myself for not drafting him, but he's shown over the last 2 weeks that he's a rookie tight end with 1.2 and zero point 0.6 points. But good thing James has Austin Hooper on the bench, who has actually been pretty relevant so far, which I did not expect. But there's some decent holes on this team, but overall he could still put it together. There's hope for this guy.
Yeah, there is some hope. I mean, Joe Mixon was apologizing to his um I don't know if he was apologizing specifically to the fantasy managers, but he was saying how he had a bad few weeks, so he bounced back nice there. And yeah, I mean, with some better roster management, he might end up picking a win with playing TJ Hawkinson kind of the last. Or I don't even know if he played him last week, but I know he definitely played him this week when Hooper went off. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're
Breida's on
definitely
bye,
not.
so he's probably putting Mixon in his starting lineup, which is
Yeah,
not too bad. This is
yep.
when the week matchups get interesting because buys are starting to start here. So
Yeah, that's true, man. Week 4, shit. I would
yeah,
be pissed if I had a week 4 bye as an NFL player. Junk.
yeah, it's way too early. All right, so
It's ridiculous.
So Dylan, moving down 2 spots here. He's still 0-3. He's still facing the top offenses every single week. What can this man do to get a win? I don't know. Like honestly, he's got a pretty solid team other than a few holes. Obviously injuries are a big hole in this team, and another one is very, very just just like not very good running backs. Can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he's got a very solid tight end in Evan Ingram. His
Tight
receiver
end 1.
core is like super deep and he can kind of play whoever he wants there and usually they'll do good. DJ Chark's probably gonna hit that starting lineup soon. But he might get shadowed by Chris Harris of Denver Broncos, so you gotta watch out for that. And yeah, Dak Prescott and even Kyler Murray's been playing good, so when Dak Prescott's on bye, he's got a good bye fill in. I don't know what else to say about this team other than like he's getting very unlucky, and he should
Very
probably get a
unlucky.
better running back.
Exactly, man. You said he has such a deep, or he's so deep at the wide receiver position. If I was him, I'd be looking to package some guys for running back upgrade because Sony Michel's 2.4 yards per carry on the season is not cutting it, man. Not cutting it at all.
Yeah,
Pretty rough.
he's got three of the Patriots tight ends. He doesn't even have the best one.
Yeah, the running backs. Yeah, nope. Sexy Rexy, baby. All right. Next at number 8, we have Antoine Gannett. A little bit of a fall here of 2 spots, but you knew it was coming with that injury to Saquon, man. 4 to 8 weeks, high ankle sprain. Oof, man.
It's a big
That is
loss.
tough. Was it worth posing nude in Ramey's childhood room? Was it worth it, Twan? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves when we tank in fantasy, because any player can get hurt any week, and if the rest of your team is junk, then you're not going to win if your star running back goes out. Um, Antoine spent his first waiver priority, or second rather, last week on Jimmy Garoppolo, who put up a stinky 8.38 points. Meanwhile, if he would have held, could have had Wayne Gallman this week with the first claim. So that's going to hurt a bit, not getting Saquon's backup because he had to nab Garoppolo, even though he probably he would have
No
been
one had a claim
available
on
to.
him.
No, and there was other guys there too, so that was some poor management. Other poor management on this team is empty bench spot. Didn't
Yeah, that big
take.
empty there.
Yeah, you think he'd pick a guy up for some upside, maybe a Will Disley or something like that, just to have a shot of a guy on. Like, why not have someone rostered? But he left an empty bench spot. Two defenses rostered, two tight ends with Jared Cook sitting on the bench. I'm very surprised he kept in. So poor roster management all around, and just not a good looking bench. Next week, he's gonna have to start Chris Thompson or AP, but Thompson didn't have a bad game tonight, so who knows? Maybe that'll work out.
Washington
Um,
showed they've always been behind, so
exactly. Yeah, the game scripts will be there for him. Calvin Ridley and Kenny G had some piss poor weeks with 1.1 and 2.7 respectively, but I wouldn't be too concerned about those guys. It's just a blip on the radar. Those guys are going to be still productive all season, not a huge worry. Only other thing about this team is Juju Smith-Schuster. He looked decent, but one of those receptions was a 76-yard touchdown, I believe.
yeah.
Only had 3 receptions, and Mason Rudolph was not looking crispy that game. So maybe a sell high on Juju. Who knows? But the numbers look okay. But when you really look into it, I'd be pretty worried.
You can't be selling him though. That's his third keeper, and I don't think he's got anyone to really replace it. Maybe Galladay or Ridley if they keep it up, but
That's true. Well, Galladay should have been kept over Stephon Diggs by James. So
well, yeah, hindsight.
maybe, yeah, hindsight.
All right. Sterling's moving up a spot, even with the third loss in a row. Um, but I mean, he had a very good outing. I was kind of scared. So here I am. I'm sitting on the pew in church, and this guy's sitting right in front of me, and he just turns around every time someone scores. He's like, "Hey, Philip Lindsay just scored. Hey, on Johnson just scored." I'm like, "Shut up, man!" like
Blasphemy.
like he just turns around. And he's like, "Philip Lindsay just got like 4 points for me," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool." Man, I was tilted in church,
You're
following
like,
along with fantasy, but
thanks, man. Trying to praise our Lord Jesus Christ here, please. Yeah, fucking wait till church is done. That's funny.
but it was funny, but still, like he had a good week. I mean, some of his guys didn't really go off the way they could have, where I could have got it handed my first loss. But Lindsay just went nuclear. I think he listens to the podcast because he was hearing how I was bashing him, how Freeman was playing better. But Lindsay had 2 touchdowns. He's been playing all the snaps in the red zone and like the 5 yard line, the 10 yard line. So he's definitely their goal line back there, and they trust
Mhm.
him there more than Freeman, which is kind of weird to me, but whatever. I don't coach NFL. I just play fantasy football. Obviously, the Amari Cooper trade, I won't say boosts his receiver core because he lost Adams, but it's given him a slight edge maybe right now, I, this season and in the next couple weeks rather than the long term. Yeah, he's got a lot of guys, a lot of receiver depth on his bench, and not a lot of running back depth. Like He's got, well, I mean, Damian Williams is on the IR, but he's got what? Mike Davis is his only other running back other than his starters. So that's a little bit scary to me. What else can we say about this guy?
Lackluster bench overall, man. Mike Davis, Randall Cobb, Keyshawn Johnson, Amendola. None of those guys really excite me. Just they're all droppable, But maybe he'll make some action this week, some free agent moves.
Hmm.
Other thing I was gonna say, Hilton and Williams, continue to
Oh,
bail this guy out with touchdowns every year
freaking
or
end
every week.
zones, man.
Yeah, those guys each have a touchdown every week. So who knows? Maybe that's a sign of things to come, and they're big touchdown guys. But that's bound for regression. But those
Yeah.
are the ones on their team, so maybe that's just the favorite of the QBs. You can't complain about it too much.
Yeah, Hilton is 4 in the year. I think his high has been 8 in his career. So uh, I don't even know if that's because he's already
New
played with
QB
Brissett
though,
once. No, he's played with
yeah,
Brissett once and it wasn't
that's
as
true,
good.
but
So
it's a different team.
it's
It's a better
interesting.
team.
Anyway, let's move
I
on.
wouldn't be stressing. Next guy, man, we got Tyson Deragowski, baby daddy, really falling down the list here. Down four
Oof.
spots from number two. That's got to sting, especially at 2-1. But there's just a lot of worry on this team, and AB, man, that's the biggest reason. One of his, valued keepers who Tyson's had for a couple of years, he is done with the NFL. Supposedly, went on a little tantrum on Twitter. Little baby bitch
Going back to
AB.
school.
I was smiling, bro. I was at the gym, just finished a set. Fucking vibration of the phone. I checked my phone. Oh, AB is done with the Patriots. I was so pumped, man. I couldn't stop smiling. It's great. Tyson must have been the complete opposite though. It is definitely a big hit to his fantasy team, and Jameson Crowder is the wide receiver 3 is not going to cut it. He should probably be looking to trade for another
He's
wide
on bye
receiver
this week
because
too.
ooh, yeah, geez, man. And Hopkins has been underwhelmingly. I wouldn't be worried about Hopkins, but he hasn't been putting up those traditional Hopkins numbers the last couple of weeks. He's been under 10 points, so that's not going to get him some wins. Moving on to the running backs. Yeah, Jones has been getting the red zone looks, so that's pretty good. And Gurley is a top, or not Gurley, Henry rather is a top 5 RB, and he's looked pretty good. He's got a couple solid guys there, but Gurley is the worry man. He's a changed man. What did he put up, like 4 points this week?
Yeah,
They
well,
are
they're making
definitely
him a
taking
changed
it.
man. They're not giving him the run.
Exactly, man. They're scared about that arthritis, man. Like I'm sure if they gave him the opportunity, he'd be putting up points, but until that the volume comes, Gurley is a scary flex, like he's not that RB1 he used to be. Looking at this team, what else we got? Josh Allen was a decent pickup. Definitely a guy that you'll be able to start. I saw some stat like since week 8 last year, he's been the QB3 in fantasy football, so
It's
good
nuts.
pickup there. Definitely someone you want on your roster. Low week from Vance McDonald with Mason Rudolph, which is kind of discouraging after that two tutty performance last week. But who knows? Maybe he'll get it together. Aaron Rodgers too, man. Highly one of the higher drafted QBs. That whole offense is just looking down. Like Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers of old. That's a result of the Lafleur regime, and Rodgers isn't as crispy himself. He definitely misses some throws that the Aaron Rodgers of 2012 would have made no problem. So it's a little worrisome. This bench is complete garbage with Gronkowski still rostered. He's really betting on him coming back. The only other guy to note on this bench is Ronald Jones, who had a nice game, but it's going to be a carousel between him and Peyton Barber. You never know which guy it's going to be, right? So you can't be confident with either of those guys.
Yeah, I would even almost say that about Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones as well. Williams played more in that game than Jones did. Um, yeah,
That's
I
true.
I was like just scanning this roster and he literally only has 3 receivers that are playing in the NFL. I don't understand that. He's got
And
so many running backs on his bench that who knows? He's searching for that upside. And he's
yeah,
got
he's waiting for
Gronkowski
someone
who
to get
isn't
hurt.
playing in the league either.
Yeah,
Like he's
you
taking
got
a
to pick up
lot of
some
risks
receivers.
here.
It's just funny because he's got 3 starting receivers, and one of them is Jamison Crowder.
One of them's on a and he's on a bye, so you can't even play him. All right, we're gonna try and speed through these next few because we're running a little bit out of time here.
Are we
Well, we're
just
just at 20 minutes, but they listen through it all, right? Right?
get going? Get
Right?
going, Noah. Let's move
Okay.
it.
Nick, we heard your cries, we heard your complaints, but if you keep on dropping players like Samuel, we can't put you this high. But for now, we
Hmm.
will. Um, you were right. You were right about the disrespect. Your team finally came together. I mean, it was because Ingram and Evans had 6 combined touchdowns, and then if you add Thielen and Olsen, that's 10 combined touchdowns. So that's a lot of touchdowns that probably aren't going to happen every week.
Big
Um,
time Luxter.
Big time Luxter. You've got a nice QB carousel there. It's very shiny, very nice. I would like to take my future little Jannies on it, but honestly, it's tough to figure out who to pick every week. So you might
But you
not
can't really make a wrong choice,
you
you know?
but you can because a few
Yeah, that's true.
points can lose you a week, any week.
Hmm. It's a
Um,
good carousel to have,
it's a
though.
good carousel to have. I mean, Adam Thielen, he's got a high floor. He's getting the targets from Kirk Cousins, the limited amount of targets that they have there.
Hmm.
Olsen is kind of coming back, you know. Kyle Allen might be helping him out too there. Um, Freaking 9 targets for Hollywood Brown. I think he only had like 3 catches, but at least he's getting targeted. So he's gonna be boom bust like always. Fournette's just kind of there. I know you said he's like the RB 16 on the year, which is great, but you kind of expect more from him, especially considering he was the number 4 overall pick in the NFL draft. But he's getting lots of targets, so he's still making enough points for you there. Um, and Gordon could come back. Who knows? We're trying to figure that out. I don't know what's happening with that. But we'll see if he comes back, and then you might have a solid backup running back to pair with Carlos Hyde, who's been doing okay for you.
Yeah,
Um,
every week is 1 week closer to the return of Gordon, so helps this guy.
yeah, who'll kind of be like Todd Gurley stuck in a committee.
Yeah, I think so.
And then John Ross kind of settled back to earth. I mean, he's still kind of in that Brandon Cooks role in the Bengals offense, so boom bust.
And it was a bust. It
Yeah,
was a big time bust.
big bust. All right, who's next?
But he's moving up big time, so that's good for Nick. Next, we got Ramey moving back up to the fourth spot. We told you he was going to move up. He'll, he might even get higher on this list, but he's back in the green. He's in the upper echelon of guys here, so you knew it was coming. Big deal with the Devonte Adams trade. We kind of went into detail on that already. Noah thinks it's a big win. I think it's more of a sideways tilt from Cooper, but it could go either way. It could be a league winner. Who knows, right? But important to point out, Adams plays the Bears and the Vikings in week 15 and 16, which was part of my tilt on him a little bit. That's not a good playoff matchups, but he's a good receiver. Might not matter. Thursdays definitely do or die though for Adams because you could say he's been playing some bad defenses. He's got the Eagles and they're just like hollow man, like some cheese. So if he's gonna go off, it's gonna be on Thursday. Calf Daddy came back in a big time. DJ Moore had a nice game too with Kyle Allen. He just, I'd be rooting for him if I was owner of some of these Panthers. He's looking better for the team than Booty Scoot and Cam Newton.
Definitely.
Uh, Baker Mayfield, more like Baker May not field.
Mm,
He is a bust. He's droppable. Ramey needs a new QB. Definitely not gonna work in the future with just Baker and Cam Newton back there. I'd be looking at the waiver wires or hitting up one of these other QB guys, one like the Brands, for a trade. Who knows? George Kittle was a highly drafted tight end, and he hasn't busted, but he hasn't been putting up the numbers you want, like 6, 7, 8 points a game. Kind of uninspiring, especially considering that San Francisco is 3-0 and they've been looking really good. So you'd expect more from Kittle, but it's not all over yet. Obviously, like I said, he hasn't busted, and there's a lot of time for him to get going. Good game for Marvin Jones as well. He's got good wide receiver depth with DJ Moore in there, and then Devonta Freeman had a reasonable game. Not a big boom game, but 11 points. You're happy to see him in a position that you could at least start him.
yeah. Few notes to add there. I mean, let's just say Kittle's on a bye, so this guy's going to be picking up a tight end. I
Yep.
wouldn't trade for a QB based on his track record for trading with QBs. And DJ Moore, two targets. He converted one of them for 52 yards and a touchdown, but you don't necessarily like the two targets.
That's true. That's
All
very
right,
true.
Josh. We
Oh.
got you here. We got you here at number three.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
moving up one spot, mostly from that huge slide from Tyson, but
We're back up here, man.
Dalvin and
Feels good.
Julio. Those are some good keepers you got there.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue Dalvin is top three rest of season, top three asset rest of season, behind two pass catching mavens in Kamara and McCaffrey. Um,
It's a good class of guys to be in, though.
yeah,
Good
Julio's
class.
got 12 touchdowns over his last 12 games. I thought he couldn't score touchdowns.
Yeah, wasn't that the thing? Julio doesn't get any touchdowns?
Yeah, that's what I thought, but
Nope.
apparently not.
He's a beast.
Is Connor even startable? That is the question. On this team, maybe, considering Carson fumble hands. Man, but a lot of them are on punch outs, but still, like Pete loves that guy. Petey Sunshine is just like, man, Carson is like my adopted son. He could do no wrong.
Yeah, I love it. But
Um,
even, even if Carson gets benched, like you don't want a 50-50 because then
mm,
you don't know who to start. But let's say Penny becomes the starter. Well, thank God I got the handcuff, right? But yeah,
yeah.
the worst case scenario is a complete 50-50 where I don't want to start either of them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they run enough, so you probably should be fine with one or the other, even if it is
Exactly.
50-50.
I
Um,
ain't stressed.
Cooper Cup. Goff loves his cup.
Mm-hmm.
He'll throw to him for 2 yards, for 10 yards. He's just like a PPR machine. He gets so many catches. So maybe it was a good thing that you backed out of that trade. Um, Flash is back, man. Flash is back. We'll
Flash! Oh!
we'll see.
Savior of the universe!
We'll see if he ever doesn't get the cornerback one on the opposing team because I think so far they've been covering him with their
Yeah, which is
top
tough,
corners.
man. That's tough. He definitely, I don't break out wide receiver one or anything, but I'm glad I didn't give him to you
Yeah,
for that
I
Tyler
almost had
Boyd
him.
trade. He did. He did indeed.
Uh, Again, another PPR machine with the Walrus kind of going off there at the end of the second half. So we'll kind of see where that is. Um, Hunter Henry pick up on the IR, so that's kind of interesting there.
It's definitely a high IQ move. I
It's
watch lots of Rick and Morty, so
I
that
would say that it's
contributes.
not too bad of a move.
It's all right,
I just had three tight ends, and I still believe in OJ Howard. Even that might sound foolish, but I still believe in him.
Well, it's not. I'm not. It's not even a bad drop for you. It's just as a guy who had no one in the IR, might as well, right? Like no
Mm.
reason not to fill that spot. Unlike a guy like Tuan just leaving empty spots on the roster. Just get a guy in there because you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and Miles Sanders is still getting the touches, but maybe a little bit in the doghouse with his fumble. Howard's the goal line
Hmm.
back there, it seems, so we'll kind of see where that goes in the next few weeks here.
Yep. Next we got Mr. Noah, 3-0. Back up to number two after a little bit of a move
Undefeated.
down. Undefeated, one of only two undefeated teams in this league. The biggest thing from this week is everybody was a little worried about MT and Kamara after Drew Brees' injury. Kamara has shown that he's the most talented guy on the Saints and that he's like one of the I just had a burp there. He's one of the most talented running backs in the NFL, and he's a playmaker. And without Breeze, they're going to put the ball in his hands more often to get the job done. So, what did he have? Like 30 points. He's
He
killing
had
it.
his
And
most snaps in a game ever.
yep, like there's no downside to Breeze being out. Kamara is going to be solid regardless. And MT had a little less receptions than the first couple games, but he's also shown he's the best receiver on the team, and that's the guy Teddy's going to go to. I think it caps his ceiling a little bit not having Breeze. You're not
Hmm.
going to see as many big boom games, but I think he's going to be safe. He's fine. Like, and then you'll get Breeze back. He's not out for the year, so not too much worry. At 3-0, like you're not worried about not making the playoffs or anything.
Probably not.
Nick Chubb was treated as the bell cow back this week against the Rams. He was getting a lot of receiving work and highest this year, snap percentage for him. Maybe even last year too.
Yeah, it was his
I don't
highest
know.
ever, 97%.
Yeah, that's huge. That's what you want to see. So that's good. Robert Woods looking like maybe the third of that team. I think it's going to shuffle every week, and Robert Woods is going to
Yeah.
have his weeks. I wouldn't be too worried, but definitely not looking like the top dog of the Rams for sure. So he's still fine though. Curtis Samuel, nice pickup, free wide receiver that you can start, free top 40 guy. Chris Godwin had a bit of a down week. Everything went to Mike Evans. I think you're going to see that more often with the Bucks. It's going to go back and forth between these guys.
Yeah,
Maybe eventually.
more like Chris peasant loss.
So fucking fat. I like it though. I like it because it's so fucking forced. Oh, you dump Noah. Mark Andrews had a down week, but I wouldn't be stressing going forward. He's got nice receiver depth with MVS and Dorsett on the bench. MVS for that trade for Tyler Boyd. He's getting a lot of targets, and he is. People weren't sure if Allison or MVS was going to be the two on Green Bay. It's MVS for sure. Like without a doubt, he's getting the targets and he's getting a lot of deep looks too, so he can have those boom games. And yeah, like we said, Dorsett was a nice pickup. Darwin Thompson, you were maybe hoping for a little more work last week. I don't think he's going to get
No,
the chance.
I'm done with Darwin. He is
Yeah,
not involved.
no, he's just a big bust. Sexy Rex, he had a nice week, but that's because James White is a daddy, so I wouldn't be too excited about Rex Burkhead in the future.
He's RB 50, or he's like RB 16 or 17 on the year.
He's a guy you want on your team for sure. Like you could flex him too. You
Hmm.
can definitely flex him. Not like he's gonna break out or anything crazy, but yeah, he's a good guy to own. Only other thing is yeah, Duke Johnson, more like Do Johnson.
Yeah,
He's
doo doo.
trash. Yeah, Houston does not know how to throw to pass catching running back, and we know that we talked about it last week. It just said this week is kind of confirming it. So
Hmm.
that's what I have to say about your team. You got anything else?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of just like rolling the dice with one or two roster spots every week, trying to pick up one guy, and I end up dropping good guys. So I don't know. I gotta maybe stick with my lottery tickets a little bit longer. Um,
Yeah,
and Latavius Murray is just looking like a super expensive handcuff that I had to pick. He's not doing much in that offense, so
not without Breeze.
no, not without Breeze or even with Breeze. Like he had just had the one run for a touchdown in the first game, so
Yeah.
yeah.
But let's be honest, you weren't starting him and Kamara anyhow.
No,
So you're using him as a handcuff, and he still has that handcuff value.
yeah, for sure. All right, so number one, um, we argued
You know it.
whether Jaden should be in his own tier or not, and I make the slide, so I made him in his own tier. Um, the Mahomes and Kelsey stack are super reliable, and even it's not only Mahomes and Kelsey because it's Mahomes and Kelsey and McCole Hardman, because Tyreek Hill's out, so he's got a lot. Oh, and even Shady McCoy, man, this guy's got
And
so
Shady,
many Chiefs. He even has a Chiefs defense on his bench just for fun. Um,
he doesn't even care about the Chargers. I saw him cutting up his Chargers jerseys, burning some of them, flushing them down the toilet. He's a full-on Chiefs homer. This
I
guy
mean,
lives for the
I mean,
fucking
he's
Chiefs.
he's got the two top assets from the Chargers though. He's got
That's
Eckler,
true.
he's got Allen. He's
This guy
kind
just
of
loves the AFC West. He
yeah.
loves it.
I see a lack of Broncos, and that's maybe why you're in first place. Although you do have
Hmm.
Sanders, so I'm actually lying. You actually do have a Bronco. You do have the best Bronco though. Anyway, um, Kinoa, the number one receiver in the league. He's
Quinoa.
he's on pace. Yeah, because it's like Noah, you know? Because he's so goat. He kind of shares my name. Um, he's on pace. Let me get this right. He's on pace for 224 targets and 2,511 yards.
I
What?
feel like I think I have to double check the yards,
Man,
man.
that
I think
that
those yards, the targets are true. The targets are true because I
that
heard that
yards
one.
per
Let me.
pace seems off. I think it might be 1511.
Okay, let me check it out. No, no, no,
2511.
no, no, no.
Get out of
Okay,
here.
you keep talking. I'm
All
gonna do a
right.
calculation
Good
here.
game for Old Man Gore. Bell is kind of being inefficient, with Darnold having mono. Sterling Shepard had a beast game. He's looking like the receiver one, but who knows because Golden Tate is taking a leave of absence because he was trying to have a baby and I don't know, got suspended because he had some stuff in his pills. Um,
Oh,
Coleman should be around next week, but I think he might have already lost his opportunity to be the one and even maybe the two with Mostert. Well, actually, Mostert was fumbling and stuff, so who knows? And then
mhm.
I don't like the nickname. I don't like the Scary Terry nickname. I started with it. Now I'm definitely with the F1 McLaurin.
Yeah, you think so? I
I
think
think
it's
F1
scary
McLaurin
Terry
is
all the
better.
way. I
Either
think it's
way,
just straight to the point. It's bold. I'm scared of this man
either
because
way, he's legit.
he's a man you can put in your starting fucking lineup every week. He's the guy the Redskins are going to go to. He one of the best pickups of the year on the waiver because he's a week long or year long top 30 receiver. Like I think maybe even top 20. He'll
No,
he'll
not
be
top
there.
20.
Top 30 though. Top 30. I bet he
Yeah.
might even be top 20 right now. We have to check that,
Well,
but
I mean, now he could be, but we're talking season
no,
long
that's
here.
true. Top 30 though. Top 30.
Yeah.
Anyways, the quinoa Allen calculation. Yeah, we're not. I'm a little dyslexic. Not 25-11 or a 21-55 yard pace.
No, that's still a
Still,
lot more than I
still
thought.
crazy. Yeah, he's on pace for over 2,000 yards. Like, that's got to be like the record? Like, obviously, I don't think that's going to
Yes.
happen, but he's on the pace for the record for yards for receivers. So trading CMC away, yeah, Lev Bell is inefficient as hell, but that'll get better when Monty is back, and then he's got Kimoa, wide receiver one on the year. So Billick
Yeah.
is number one in the PR again for a
He is
reason.
looking hype. All right, let's look at our upcoming matchups here. Um, they don't have the updated records, but I'm facing Tyson. Um, I think with his receiver core, I have a good chance of winning that. Um, I would say that you have a good chance of beating Antoine without Saquon Barkley. Matchup of the week is oh, that's tough. Matchup of the week is
Billick and
tough
Ramey for
between
sure.
Billick and Ramey or Sterling and Dylan. But
That is
the
the little
more
dick branded
interesting,
matchup.
the more interesting matchup is probably Jaden and Ramey. But the little dicked version of that would be Sterling and Dylan. And then
That's a new that's a new thing. A new thing. It's little dicked matchup of the week, like America's Game of the Week. Little dicked matchup of the week. We got Sterling and Dylan. That's the one. Look at
yeah.
those projections.
And let's just say that the Brand Bowl might not be very close this year, but we'll see.
No.
James has got to
No.
step it up.
Picks, we got Noah, me. I think Ramey's gonna upset Billick. Let's put that in there for some bold picks. Ramey,
Oh,
Nick's getting the win, and Dieger gets upset again because Sterling is gonna have a big week.
no, Dylan's got it.
You
He's
think
turning it
so?
around.
Ooh.
This is the week
Oh
where he doesn't
baby.
get 130 plus points scored on him.
Time will tell.
All right, so um, we are definitely gonna have to shorten this in future weeks. I'm not letting you write those notes next time because you wrote way too many notes.
I'm just too good of an
Yeah,
analyst.
it's
Too good.
too good. All right, so we'll
Hmm.
we'll try and shorten it off for you guys so it's not like 40 minutes long. But you know, as always, stay a little dicked.
Yeah, stay little dick boys. Peace out.